Hey, how are you? Long time no talk? I don't know. Long time no chat? It's okay. That happens to all of us sometimes. I was going to ask you if you were home or not because I got the impression that you were either traveling to or from home, so I wasn't sure. Is this work related or visiting friends or family or something like that? is Chicago? Is it hot? Oh, very nice. Really? That's surprising. I mean, the weather is what it is. I'm doing okay. I haven't been on here in quite a while because I decided to do this when I thought this might not be such a busy time. There might not be as many people jumping on here because my voice has been totally thrashed since I got COVID. And so it goes from being real gravelly, kind of like what it is right now, to really squeaky. So I'm hesitant to talk for too long. Plus, it's just given me a never-ending cough, and I don't want to be on here coughing. So I've got peppermint tea and I've got water. Missed you guys too. I mean, it's easier being on the other end. Being on the other end and hanging out with everybody and just typing away, but I don't know. I guess I'm not, I don't really care how my voice sounds, but I certainly don't want to have people sit here and listen to me try to clear my throat over and over and over and over, and just didn't seem right. So, like I said, I'm trying this at what I hope is a less than busy time to see if I could do this for an hour or two. Yes, typing is way easier. And it's not so bad. I mean, like, Greg and I talk on the phone every day, and some nights it's short because he needs to get to bed, and so do I, and then some nights it's longer. But it's so unpredictable that it's hard to, it's nerve-wracking to worry about whether or not I'm going to sit here and just sound like a sick mess, or if I can get through an hour or two of chatting. And for the records, typing, yes, is easier, but good God, do I have the horrible gaffes at chatting, and especially when it's live. And you got 3 things open at the same time and you don't know which window you're typing into, and that craziness. Well, that's good. No, it's not painful. It's exhausting, I guess is the best way to put it. It's like, especially when if I get to coughing, because at this point, I'm fine, I feel fine. It's like I just don't sound well, but that's not the case. But the cough that has lingered, it's like every time, something just hits, that certain spot and gets me coughing, then my body's just like, it doesn't want to quit, and it almost wears you out, because you just want it to quit. So, and I think about hard candy in here somewhere too, if I needed a, but that's even more annoying, I think, listening to somebody talk while they got either food in their mouth or you're listening to a candy wrapper crinkle. So doing that at the last possible. And this was my first time getting it. I'm hoping it'll be my last time. We'll see. Basically ruined my vacation. My friend and I have our tickets rescheduled for the weekend of Labor Day to go to Washington, so that's now the plan, and I hope this time it joked with her that I'm probably gonna lock myself in my house for a month just to try to avoid getting sick again right before we leave, because it was only, I mean, I don't go anywhere, I really don't, just out of, not wanting to get it and whatever, and I did really well, and then I think I just got a little too cavalier, and they started wanting us to come to work a couple of days a week, and somewhere in there, I think it's kind of been going around our office pretty bad, so, or I say pretty bad, my little group is a group of about 10 or 12 people, and since we've all come back to the office, I think at least 2 or 3 of us have gotten it in less than a month. And now I'm seeing everybody on social media post that they've, caught it. So I think this latest, the friend that I'm traveling with, she's a nurse, and she was saying, they're telling them that this particular round is a lot more infectious. So just people are going to be more likely to get it if they just, are too lax in their behaviors, routines, whatever they usually do to protect themselves. Yeah, and you're good for doing that. See, I think that's where I got a little too comfortable, cavalier, a little too let my guard down. Yeah, see, I think that's what everybody's saying. Hey, woo, we're all here, party. So if you got, Kayla, you got brands. Have you got 1 week left still before you go home? Yes. And oh, you have a whole nother month. Holy crap, sorry, didn't mean to yell. Sorry, hold on a second. Aw, that's kind of the worst, isn't it? When you're away from home. I say Greg and I were just talking the other day because when I was supposed to go to Washington, he was supposed to come take care of the cats or keep an eye on them because Kip's pretty much on wet food now. But we were having the conversation about what we wanted to do for vacation, and it's like we don't know what to do because he would have to go to either a vet or the vet or somewhere where somebody could feed him, because wet food you can't just leave out for a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time. And then that means May would be alone by herself. And as she's gotten older, she's gotten a little more, I don't want to say clingy, that's not right, but just a little more, you come back from vacation and she's a little more happy to see you than she used to be, so we hate to leave her alone. So I don't know what our vacations are going to be like in the future. I don't know why I thought you were only there for a couple of weeks. I didn't realize you were there for 6. Are you staying with the same people the whole time? I mean, I don't know if these are like people that you're in your group or if these are people that are like, friends or family or something. And I'm not going to make it with this thread. Teehee. That's okay. I have like 2 more stitches on this acorn. You can kind of tell there's a color difference. Oh, that's nice. So, is this like, this is with the university? I mean, like, so is it like campus housing, kind of? Thank you. Kind of just pulling colors. I think I have to go back and look. Some of the threads I think Sarcy used were weeks, so I'm out on that. I think like 2/3 though are not, they're over dyes. Like they're either gassed or Weeks Dye Works or something. There's about 5 or 6 that were DMC, except one of those DMC, I think she gave instructions on how she over dyed it, which is this one, the vine color, which I'm basically pulling Forbidden Fiber colors, except for this one DMC and this one DMC. Everything else is, I pulled from what I had, and there is a lot of brown. I mean, I made that picture way too small, but that's okay. I'm not going to change it now, but there is a lot of brown in this. Oh, that's nice. Well, at least you guys are somewhere all together, and the provided housing always helps. So y'all stitching on anything, or are you just hanging out because I'm here? That sounded terrible. Really did. Oh, how did that go? See, I'm wondering the same thing. Oh, nice. Okay, so you're using, is that one of the Nerge hoops? That was, I'm glad you sent that picture, because I have mine. Where is it? This is mine kitted up to take with me. This is for Rosina Dissery. I have a PDF copy, but the kit that I gave my friend, I gave her the paper copy, and we've got matching project bags. So I got to figure out though hoop, because I don't think I can stitch in hand on a plane, and I don't know, she's not a cross stitcher, so she may have a lot of questions. So that was kind of the other thing. I thought, okay, well, I need to make it easy on myself. So if she's wanting assistance, guidance, because we both have the same linen. I mean, I basically gave her exactly the same stuff that I bought for myself. But I need to ask her, because last time, right before we left, I was going to ask her, and then I got sick, so it never happened. So I need to make sure she's still going to take it with her. that's just today. They're just in the flight. When did you fly? Yesterday? Yeah. Seeing that may be my downfall. We'll see what happens. Oh, so question for you, Naughty, were there a lot of people on the plane? Like, was it full? I mean, I know you mentioned wearing a mask. I mean, I'd wear a mask even if there were only 3 people on a plane. I wouldn't care, but... Interesting. Say, when we scheduled our original flight, I think it was our return trip. Before we even left, they were already canceling our return trip and asking us to find, or, giving us other options. We weren't scrambling or anything trying to find anything, but it was like when we booked our new trip for September, it was the same thing. We were trying to find flights that, it didn't look like there were just a whole lot of people. So we could kind of space out. But I know as, the closer those weekends get, the only thing I'm hoping is, in our case, we've booked this new flight for Labor Day weekend, which I know not all of them, but most of the schools are back at school by then. So I'm kind of hoping maybe travel dies down a little bit and we'll get lucky, but I am still worried that we're going to get the same scenario. Like, our original flight might be okay, but our return flight, they may try to bounce us around. Yikes, I'm sorry, Kaylee. See, that just makes me so nervous. I mean, so I have always been one of those people that goes to the grocery store at like either, some of the stores around here open at like 6 a.m., but typically like I shop at like Target or somewhere because I need to get other things that maybe a grocery store wouldn't carry. So Target opens at like 8. So I always go on Sundays at 8 a.m. right when they open, because I live in a state where the majority of people on Sunday are either in church or during the fall watching football. So I know fairly certain that I can go into that store and have the place to myself. And like even this morning when I went, it was, I think myself and one of the guys that worked for Target had a mask on, but nobody else. Although I will say, usually when I do see people with masks, it's people of color. Most of the time. But it's like you walk around and, I think people now are just kind of, I don't know, used to seeing them, so they don't really say anything. But it's like, nope, now that I've had it, sorry. This is what I'm doing. Besides which, I still have this cough, and I hate the thought of if I broke out in a really bad cough, at least I'd have a mask on my face, covering myself up from everybody else. Yeah, that was the other thing. We pretty much had decided when we fly, it's like, no, we're just not going to worry about meals or anything like that. like even at work, I need to go in tomorrow. Mondays and Fridays are usually really quiet. We don't have to go back in every day. We only have to go in a day or two a week, or as needed. I usually go in on Fridays because I process a lot of payments that I have to pick up checks for on Fridays, which is nice because nobody's ever there. I need to go in tomorrow because I need to finish what I started doing this last Friday. I need to finish. And typically Mondays are really quiet, but Tuesday I have to be up there for a meeting with another department and an outside firm, and I'm just like, I asked my manager, I'm like, does anybody be insulted if I just walk in there with an N95 on? Because I really don't, I don't trust anybody anymore. So we'll see how it goes. Our conference rooms aren't, they're big, but I just... really don't know how I feel about it. Me neither. Completely agree with that sentiment. I mean, it took me, I don't know how long to feel comfortable about doing it when the world started acting like things were normal again, and I think I've learned my lesson now with being quite so cavalier about the whole thing. And, you know, it doesn't help that, you know, people my age, the last booster we got was, I think I got mine in October. I mean, I got my 2. And then I got my 3rd, but, you know, it's been long enough. Yeah, and that's the worst, isn't it? Because you can't, that really is, that just kind of hits the exact point. It's like you can't control what other people do. And, you know, you add to that there are plenty of people that are asymptomatic and or they think they've just got, you know, like right now, the air quality is horrible here. You know, it's flaring up people's allergies and stuff, so a lot of people walk around thinking they're just, you know, they're just sick, they just got whatever, and they don't bother testing themselves. Yeah. that's the thing. There are so many. I don't think we all kind of realize, how long it's actually been since any of us have been vaccinated. And they're just now getting the little kids vaccinated. See, that, and what's funny is the only reason why I tested myself was because I was fixing to go on a trip. And it was so funny because I tested the Sunday before. We were supposed to fly out on a Thursday. I tested the Sunday before. I was negative. Went into work that Monday. There wasn't anybody there. And then thought, okay, I'm going to test myself Tuesday. And then I'll test myself, like Thursday morning before we fly out, just to be sure. And sure enough, tested myself Tuesday night. And it's like, I joke, it's like my body thought, oh, okay, well, now that you have the positive test, we're gonna go ahead and let everything kick into gear, because now you know. So, and then all of a sudden it was just like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And it was not pleasant. And then I was telling one of my coworkers, because my husband had already planned to come home and take care of the cats, he already had the scheduled time off, so he stayed in a hotel in town and basically had like a mini vacation by himself. And I stayed home sick, and the last day that before he headed back out was my first negative test, so he came over. And basically we talked in the back, we hung out in the backyard for like an hour and talked just face to face, but didn't, stayed away from each other. And then, tested a couple more times to make sure I was still negative before I went back to work that Friday. But I just don't, I think people that I told that to, just how many times I tested and all the hoops and whatever, I think a lot of people just thought it was like overkill, and I'm like, no, it's not, because you don't know. You really do not know how long you were carrying that around with you. That's all right. He's been home since. He still gives me like the side eye, like, are you safe? I'm like, you dude, whatever you want to do. If you still want to maintain a 6-foot distance from me in the house, that's perfectly fine. See, I don't get that. I do not get that. And I was going to say, and now I've got like, whenever the government, said that they pay for like, 8 tests, 2 or 3 rounds of 8 tests. I was like, I order all those, plus the 8 a month I can get through our insurance. I've been ordering those, so I've used a few now, but I've got enough. It's like, may as well use them. Yeah, see, and that's the thing. And I've even heard, not only can you have a false positive, but you can also test negative but still expose somebody. So, it really is kind of one of those things where it's like, if you're doing it, you're doing it out of concern or cautiousness or whatever, but hopefully you understand that by testing yourself over and over again, you're just, I guess you're doing it for you. I mean, to make yourself feel better. Yeah. And that was the one conversation I kept having with, my husband and with coworkers and the friend I was supposed to travel with. It was like, everybody was asking, well, where had you been? Because anybody who knows me knows I don't go anywhere. I mean, I don't eat out. I don't, go to movies all the time, or, I don't have a big social life. You guys are my social life on here. So it's like, so everybody really was curious, like, where had you been? And I said, literally, in those 2 weeks before my trip, work and a couple of trips to the grocery store. And that is it. So, and I'm putting, if I had to bet, I'd put my money on work, because that just had a much larger group of people, and to me, it's a more lackadaisical, everybody at work is not, they don't care. Yeah, and that's what everybody said, is that this time it's more infectious. It's not whatever immunity you might have, it's breaking through all those barriers. And I think people just, I guess either they get used to getting it over and over again, or just the rest of us continue to be overly cautious. Well, seeing like in your case, Kaylee, I wonder too about the schools. I remember how hard it was when school started back last year for them to make the decision to, hey, these kids need to be in school, need to be whatever, and, especially around here, the fights that were had over wearing masks or not wearing masks, or, whatever. And I got the impression that they thought that given the summer, that not that it would go away, but that it would not be the big thing that it was. And then everybody came back from summer vacation, and then all of a sudden everybody was getting sick, or everybody went on Christmas break, and everybody got, winter holiday, and came back and got sick. And it was just like, what do you not understand about how this happens, how this works? So I wonder again this summer if it's going to be the same way. They just think they're going to come back and everything's going to be normal. Wow. And that to me, when everybody in a group comes down with it and they have to put everything on hold, that's one of those things that really, I just think, what? As I say, my friend's a dialysis nurse, so she works with a company that they go to all the hospitals and provide the dialysis for patients that are in treatment for something else, or in the hospital for something else, but to provide that service. And she said, where before this latest round, which they were being told was much more infectious, she said, she would go in, set up the machine, treat, get the patient started, and then she'll, let it run, and then come back. And then usually when the patient's gone, when she comes back to clean up her area, and get the machine ready for the next patient, she would take off all of her protective gear just just so she could breathe a little bit better, whatever. And she's like, you know, and even if the janitor or somebody came in to clean up, you know, clean the room, empty out the trash can, something like that, she wouldn't think twice about it. But she's like, now, she's like, nope, she pretty much, if she has to walk back even into an empty room, she pretty much puts a mask back on because she doesn't know what to expect. Wow. Well, and I think probably fortunately in the medical profession, your occupation is defined by or is led by, in many cases, emergency situations. So I feel like at least in the medical fields, you are already looking at contingency plans because that's what you do. You have to be there and prepared for, you know, you have to come up with every possible scenario because of what you do. Yeah, she was not, she's just, you know, and I was the same way too. I was just like, you walk into a room and you can't see it. You don't know if it's still there, if it's hanging around the air, and how long it's hanging around. And the question I wanted to pose to her, but I never got the chance, was being in a state like Texas, where it is, well, this part of the state, being as humid as it is, does the humidity, higher humidity levels affect that it's able to hang in the air for a longer period of time because there's moisture that it can basically latch onto and, I don't want to say float, but you know, kind of get the idea. If there's already water droplets in the air because it's humid, does that just mean they just have vapor in which to cling to and can stay airborne much longer than in like an arid, dry place where, you know, there is no moisture and it immediately just sucks everything out of it. Wow. That's incredible. It really is. I was going to say, about half of my extended family and half of my husband's extended family are all in the medical profession one way or another, whether they're techs or EMTs or nurses, or we've got a couple of folks that are in, you know, like dentistry, optometry, those kinds of things. But it's like, just about everybody that's in that field has to just, you have to be overly protected at this point, and just know that it's going to be with us for a while. It's just, that's amazing when it takes out an entire group. Well, and it's interesting too, because for the longest, when before I got it, the people that I knew that were the most precautious and taking all the right steps and doing all the right things and still were getting it typically had kids. So I thought that was always the one factor that was like there was little control, because, you know, once your kids go to school or go play, you know, do activities and stuff like that, all bets are off, because kids are going to do what kids are going to do, and they aren't as disciplined in knowing how to make the right decisions, be protective of themselves and those around them. But then I think now it's just like, nah, that's not even. I mean, kids are still a big part of it, but I think it's just truly just you can't. You can only control what you do, you can't control what others do. So at that point, you have to do everything you can to just keep yourself safe. And so funny. These are very two distinctive, variegated browns, but some of these acorns definitely show up a lot better than other ones do. But I think it'll be okay. I'm not that worried about it. So actually, I was worried about this one. I kind of had to scavenge a couple of my other kitted up whips, because that one particular color is I've got two almost full skeins of it, and then I guess Forbidden Fiber, she had sent out a round of, like, I'm on her floss club, so sent out a round with a one-of-a-kind brown that almost looked identical, like maybe it was a one that she had meant to dye to match that one, and it didn't turn out quite right. So that's what I'm doing, is using those three, because this vine ends up being that big tree over on the other side, and I think it's almost like 5,000 stitches for all of it. It was good to see you too. I'm glad you got to hang out for a little while. Take care. I hope you have fun while you're in Chicago. Be safe. You're fine. Lurk away. Do whatever you need to do. And to look and see. See you later. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. I've been down here almost an hour. Okay. I'm not going to be on here for forever, because I still need to go. Still have some chores to do later. I'm glad my voice is holding up. my journal the other day, because every time I start, like I started this today, every time I start something new, I put in, you know, when I started it, what I used, or, you know, what I'm stitching with. It was funny just to see I'd done a lot of small stuff, which, you know, totally my thing. But it was really kind of funny how many finishes I actually had. And then I had FFO'd a couple of things. And you know, I was putting that information in there, and I was like, you know, seems like I'm on this kick of, you know, doing all these little smalls, which is totally fine. But starting this today just kind of reminded me, it's like, oh man, I will start this, and unless I am just, even though I'm really digging it, I'm liking the border with the acorns. But unless I, it just really keeps my interest, this will end up in a project bag. And I'll probably just end up picking up when I feel like it. But Sarcy Girl had posted her finish of it. I think she had it framed. And I was like, yeah, I forgot I bought that. Just felt like a good time to start it. Little did I know it was all overdyed threads, which were, you know, overdyes of companies that I don't buy. I mean, I have a few colors of Gentle Arts, but I think that it's because they were part of kits that I bought. Certainly didn't have enough to kit out the whole thing, and I wasn't going to go out and buy. I've really gotten in this habit of just use what I have, and I kind of like that when it works. This one last acorn out of this little bit I've got left here, and then I'll pick one of the other colors, go back and do some of the leaves. think I need to go back and watch some of Karen's episodes on her explaining different kinds of fabric. Well, it's when I stitch with linen now, or I'm stitching more with linen now, so I find myself noticing the weave and how, like, especially stitching in hand, because I don't have anything pulling it tight, I can kind of tell, like, that it leans one way or the other. So when you're trying to stitch, especially like over two, you think your stitches are leaning, and they kind of are, but they're it looking at them with your brain trying to process where the next, where the next stitch should land. It's obvious the different kinds of linen create less problems and certain kinds of linen create more, and I've definitely learned, like, the darker the fabric is, the harder it is. To tell until you start stitching with it, and then you realize once you adjust to but like with this fabric especially, because of the way it's dyed, the lighter sections are much easier to stitch than these darker parts. So when you get to the darker parts, you're really having to pay attention, and then that's, once you get back to the lighter sections, that's when I notice it's like, oh, these fibers tend to want to lean to the left or lean to the right. And I know putting it in a hoop or a frame or something to stretch it would fix that, but I also realized with this particular piece, I was only going to have about a 1.5 inch margin to work with to get it centered, and this is going to take up this entire piece because it's only 1/8 of a yard. So putting it in a frame or a hoop or something, a Q-snap or something, wasn't going to be as easy to do until I got closer to the center of the design. Doing this edge, I knew I was going to have to do in hand. And I guess I'm going to save that tree. I hate to even say this out loud, but I guess I'm going to have to save that tree for towards the end. And it'll just be like outline it and then just fill it all in, and it would just be, TV stitching or something where I wouldn't have to pay attention. I do like it when I have patterns like that where I can outline something and just fill in. It's just one solid color. Oh, yeah, we're supposed to go have breakfast this morning. Did you guys ended up having anything good? Nice. I can always go for a veggie omelet. That's kind of one of those things too where I am one of those people that I could have breakfast for any meal, or breakfast type foods for any meal. So yeah, I would eat that anytime, any day of the week. Hopefully it was a good veggie omelet. Because I've had some bad ones. Not very many, but I've been disappointed a couple of times. Is that usually with me there's not enough flavor. It's like whatever veggies they used had been sitting in a freezer for far too long, and if I have to cover it up with, hot sauce or pepper or something, then okay, my dear. Yeah, I'm not gonna be here much longer. So you take care of yourself. You guys have fun. And I'm sure I will see you later on somewhere. Be safe. Thanks for stopping by. where I'm gonna stop. Tell my voice is starting to go a little bit, so I appreciate everybody that might have been working on something in the background. Maybe you didn't get a chance to pop on, but I appreciate you just the same. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening or morning or afternoon or whatever time it is for you. And hopefully I'll be back on here really soon. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.